Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
And on the line, you don't see him here in the video, but Cody Geiler.
Hello.
We'll put a picture of him. Yeah. We'll put a picture
there's
of
a
him.
picture right here next to us.
Jib Jab make his mouth move when he talks.
Is it a GIF? A little movie?
A little gift from Cody. Yeah.
That's funny. All right, everybody, we have finally arrived. It is, we are recording this. We are 2 nights. I just actually tweeted out 2 days until Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. At this point, we have already seen the movie.
Oh, if you're listening to it. What?
Sorry. At the point
we are sitting in the theater.
At the point this time 2 days from now.
Yes.
We have already seen the movie.
Gotcha. Okay. That's much more
But
clear.
you are listening to this hopefully the day of. That's when this is going out. And if you, again, and I want to preface this because I feel like I listened back to our Last Jedi recording. And it wasn't until about 15 minutes in that we finally said, hey, actually, this could be spoilery.
Yeah, right. Who knows?
So I want to start off by saying that what we're doing in this episode is pure predictions. So each one of us is going to lay out what we think is going to happen in the film. Now, if you're completely staying away from everything,
even like thinking of what could happen,
even theories, what could happen, maybe you don't want to listen. But again, here's the thing: is we have not, aside from Cody maybe seeing a little bit more than Casey and I, we have not seen anything really, and we haven't dived into like really true spoilery material,
right,
leaked footage, stuff like that. We just haven't. Besides the leak footage, we saw.
Which was confirmed in the trailer anyway. So
it's true.
It was
we saw what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
So this is true. Like all of our predictions, this is true just based on the marketing materials, based on our knowledge of other possibly books. We both finished Resistance Reborn. That may lend into it a little bit. I actually was watching Force Awakens while I was putting my daughter to sleep. It's funny I put my daughter to sleep the Star Wars movies, but.
Nice.
I got through about 2/3 of the movie, and I mean, there was actually some questions that came up in there. I'm like, wow, okay, I gotta talk about that. I want to talk about that. So there's some things in those movies that I'm going to bring up. So here's how it's going to go. We're going to dive right in. There's no other news to talk about besides the Rise of Skywalker. So we're going to just start going through the acts right now, and then when we get to the end of kind of how we feel like the movie's going to go, there's a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of things that these guys have too that. Questions about some certain pieces that we don't know where they're going to fall, but we'll talk about extra things that we think is going to happen in the movie and some other assumptions, and then who knows where this conversation is going to go. So I want to spend as much time as we can on this. So that's all we're doing, the predictions for the Rise of Skywalker. So and that's the thing. So the first thing I wanted to point out is as I was watching The Force Awakens a little bit, and I want to try to get in The Last Jedi again tomorrow night. The thing about it is when we were predicting The Force Awakens, we had nothing but those trailers.
Right.
Last Jedi, we had The Force Awakens a little, right? Well, now we've got 2 films that, we have as far as perspective and experience and where these characters are at this point going into this movie. So there's not just the marketing materials. I mean, we do have a lot from the films that we can pull from, and I was starting to think about that a little bit tonight as I was writing down my notes. So I'll just throw it to Casey. I'll throw it to you first, I guess. Is as the movie goes, this is how we start off this thing. Where from the crawl down, what are we going into? What are we walking ourselves into in this film right now?
I love that Star Wars echoes itself, even though maybe, I don't know, some people, whether they try to or not, I feel like Star Wars echoes itself all the time, even these new movies. So I think this movie will echo a lot of how the other ones have started, especially like Revenge of the Sith. But starts off with a battle. I think we'll start off, it'll throw us into an action sequence. So I think we will be coming into the ending of some First Order Resistance battle. And if, to throw pure speculation, it could be an educated guess, but I think we will be seeing the end of a battle over Batuu, specifically what people are now seeing in the Rise of Resistance ride.
Right.
And I'm sure, I think we talked about this on the show
about
before. That. So I think that's more so like a want, like, oh, it would be so cool if we saw that to tie it in, obviously, to everything that Lucasfilm and Disney's doing, which is one of their goals. So to see that would be awesome. But overall, I think we are, regardless if it's Batuu or not, I think we're over seeing the end of a battle, basically a victory of Resistance, more specifically.
The end of the battle, huh? Okay.
Like it's in the middle. It's in the action.
So
then
similar
it's
to maybe episode 3, like
exactly.
where we're panning down and it's the battle.
Yeah.
Okay. Cody, what do you think? What do you think? What we're seeing first off?
Well, I'd say specifically, you kind of just touched on it. It's for whatever reason, I do believe it's all the better Star Wars movies, which is all subjective, all start with a tilt down. So I think we're going to see the crawl and then a slow tilt down to whatever planet we're on.
They're going to do a tilt sideways.
Tilt sideways, maybe. Probably not. And then I think, so here's where I'll differ from Casey's comment about Batuu. I mean, early on, I really thought the terrain looked like indoor. Yeah. But now I'm just leaning towards, it's got this sort of Yavin 4 feeling. Mm-hmm. So for whatever reason, I think they are back at the base on Yavin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
And I don't think it's a battle, at least maybe not from the very beginning.
Right.
Because I just rewatched part of Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi doesn't start with a battle at all. It's like the slowest opening of all the movies.
Right.
And I think, for better or worse, in typical JJ fashion, there's going to be a lot of similar beats to, the last of the trilogy, Return of the Jedi, last movies of the trilogy. But, Revenge of the Sith is also the last of a trilogy, and it had this epic space battle. So I love that idea. I think it'd be cool to start with a battle.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool.
So I actually just thought of this.
Oh.
I'm changing my opening a little bit because I wrote down right here exactly what you were saying because we talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I wrote my first thing is battle over Batuu. Mm-hmm. So I will change this though because I couldn't really place when we were seeing all of the Rey training stuff. You know, her running through the jungle, her fighting the probe droid, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or the training droid. I couldn't place that right away because to me that seemed like it couldn't be post battle. Mm-hmm. It almost needed to be pre battle. So at first I was thinking that we would pan down to just an approaching ship to Batuu, and Rey's already there and she's training, and then the First Order shows up, and it's basically the Rise of the Resistance ride. I mean, it's basically the battle,
like the entirety of it,
pretty much. I mean, them invading and. But then I thought, so now I'm starting to think like that might take too long. Mm-hmm. So I'm now starting to wheel back a little bit and say that I'm with you in the sense that we come down to the battle. Yeah. Because I think what happens is I think some of the resistance gets captured because that's kind of what happens in the ride.
Right.
And I think Chewbacca is one of them. I think it might be Poe or Finn, one of those guys. I think they get captured. Now I'm thinking actually that Rey is on a different planet, which maybe it is Yavin. Mm-hmm. That's actually a good guess. And she's training. We see her training, and that's where Leia is. That whole scene where they're talking, they hug. Because I was partly thinking, because for some reason I kept thinking that might have been Batuu, and maybe it is. I don't know, but right now I'm starting to think that she gets word that they got captured, and then she goes to rescue them.
Mm-hmm. Quick question: Is Leia in the Rise of Resistance ride? Do we know that?
I don't think so. At least what I've seen, I haven't seen
heard that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So, because again, part of me feels like Leia is not in it as much as we think it is, or we hope she is. Mm-hmm. So, and so I'll take the next step: is Rey gets on board the ship, the Star Destroyer or whatever, and that's where we see the shot of the, she frees them, and that's what happens. That's where the mind trick scene happens. It's in the trailer. Mm-hmm. There's that shot of the corridor where they're running down, shooting, freeing themselves, and I think she stumbles upon the room where the Vader mask is. Mm-hmm. And in this part somewhere, we see the part where the helmet's getting built back, and he gets his helmet back because he has the helmet in that scene.
Yeah,
the mask. So they approach each other, and that's where we see the first fight between Rey and Kylo. And then there's that shot where she jumps out of the thing. You know, that kind of culminates that way, or whatever. That's so. That's to me. That's how that. Yeah. That's how it opens the movie.
So I thought it would open. They're already captured. So I think the crawl will give us a lot of that context and saying that they're already captured. They're planning their escape, kind of a thing. And I think that it'll open with them escaping that First Order ship, then making their way down to the planet while the Resistance is winning this battle. It's like almost like the first major victory of the Resistance in a while, kind of thing. But since Starkiller. But no, I definitely thought that Force Planet, it definitely feels like Yavin. It really does.
That'd be awesome.
So it would be that would be so freaking cool. So
you guys are pretty sure that they get captured like early.
Yes, I think that whole sequence is the first part of the movie.
The only reason I don't think that is, again, I think the crawl would have to explain this, is the meaning. So Rey has this dagger in those shots.
Yes.
So that means she would have it at the beginning of the movie. Well, that's a brand new item that we have no idea what it's about. So either it's explained a little bit in the crawl that this has significance, that they were going after this and whatever, or it's just quickly explained. I don't know. She found it, not knowing what it is, and then later she finds out what it is. I
think she may get it from that throne room though.
Yeah, so I don't know if she sees it because that's the only weapon she has nearby, so she grabs it and then she gets her lightsaber.
Or maybe that's maybe why she gets drawn to that room.
That's calling to her.
It's calling to her, or
the mask
she feels something going into that room.
Yeah, because that could be one of the artifacts that Kylo's collected.
Could be.
From,
yes, definitely could
hideouts,
be.
Yeah. I like that idea of finding the dagger there. I feel like the only way I would differ in that opening is the adventure to find maybe the dagger is the MacGuffin. Mm-hmm. I feel like we might have talked about that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how or why, but if Leia obviously is with Rey in whatever planet that is, whether she's with the Resistance or not, I feel like Leia maybe sends Rey on her mission. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's somehow also getting this dagger for whatever reason. Don't really know.
Yeah.
And then sort of in a mirrored sense, you have meet the where are the villains at, whether they attack Batu or Yavin or Kylo's on a ship getting his mask redone, getting his hair done and stuff. He somehow, I don't know if he's with the Knights of Ren or gets the old band back together. I don't know how that happens, but maybe he somehow gets an inkling or mission or information about a dagger. So then you have these two, both their storylines are like going after the same object, kind of like MacGuffin style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I would say maybe the getting on the ship could happen later, but that's where I differ a little bit.
The shots of Rey training, that I will say that does feel like kind of an reintroduction to Rey kind of moments.
I don't see that happening in the middle of all this.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if those are the first shots of Rey that we see.
Yeah.
So it doesn't start with the battle in that sense, but it starts with her training, running through the forest, and then
that's why I'm with you. I think it could be, because here's the thing: is I think everything about Galaxy's Edge and Batu, the land at Disneyland, and I truly think this has actually been strategic to the Rise of Skywalker. Like, it wasn't just a coincidence that they built this place and it's occupied by the Resistance, or by the First Order, and the Resistance is secretly trying to build this base. I mean, I think it's really truly part of this timeline. I know it is canon, but truly lending itself to what's happening in this movie prior to this movie. So Resistance Reborn, we'll just touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of them, because I will come back to that. That's the beginning of them rebuilding the Resistance, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's wiped out at the end of The Last Jedi. No one's responding to the beacons yet. So they've been traveling around trying to pick up recruit everybody back.
Right.
Now, so fast forward to this. I think you're right, actually. I think the battle... I think the battle has maybe happened. And again, that's why I feel like Rey is at this place and then gets told, hey, Chewbacca, Poe, they're captured, we need to go help. You need to go help them or something like that. So Leia's not in danger, I don't feel like, and Rey's not in danger by being wherever they're at. I'm just now. At first, I always thought it was Batu, but now I'm starting to think maybe it isn't, because again, leading into the Rise of Skywalker with the whole land there with Vi Marati, who's the big spy that's trying to recruit there, like both Black Spire and Crash of Fate, they all end with this battle. I mean, it's like it's pointing, it's telling us right in our face that this thing is significant to what leads into this movie. So that's whether or not we see the end of the battle or if it's
mentioned
post battle,
whatever.
I feel like it's probably going to be in the crawl,
and then it's post battle at the start of it. Yeah, so
kind of like what you're saying, Cody. I think maybe it is kind of like Return of the Jedi, where we pan down, it's just a couple ships, and then we go into the Star Destroyer, and that's where we find out that what has happened. You know, at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, it's just Vader approaching. You know, the Death Star, the second Death Star, telling them that, you know, Emperor's coming.
Right.
Do you guys remember at Celebration when they showed just like the first couple images of the movie?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a part where they're talking about it, and I feel like JJ's talking about the movie, and there's a I guess it's a shot of it, what I would assume seems like one of these planets that's either Batu or Yavin like.
Yeah, that foresty
or
planet.
I guess it could be Endor like for whatever reason. It's just got, you know, rainforest foliage.
Yeah.
And doesn't it have like the whole crew?
Yeah,
like
it has our
3PO,
gang.
Chewie, and Rey and Poe and Finn all together with the Falcon or something. So that's what makes me wonder if they're all actually there together in the very beginning. But
because JJ does say that I think that's the start of the movie, right? That's the big.
That's the start of the adventure.
It's start of the adventure.
I think
correct.
that's post them being saved.
He did say adventure, right?
So that's where I think, you know, my thing going forward is I think that's when, and maybe that's where I think maybe it's not Leia that kind of sends Rey off to save them. That's them after escaping, and then they go back to that planet. And that's where she regrouping. That's you know, because I think we see the Falcon. They load up on the Falcon. And then there's that shot of the kind of the Tanta V4 that's leaving. I think there's all. Oh, and then that shot that's where I have here the shot in the hangar where they're all kind of grouped together. Like that's kind of the game plan. I feel like they're laying out what they need to do. I think there's a couple of final people that they're going to go after. Yeah. To me, I don't know if Lando's in that shot, because to me, Lando was one of the ones that I feel like is going to drive them somewhere. Anyway, maybe. So as we move on, so that's my prediction, is that that's that final scene, that Leia and Rey hug. I think that's the final time we see Leia.
I think so too.
And that's them saying goodbye before their journey starts, because, like JJ has said, I do think that the journey is their journey. It's, you know, Leia's out of the picture now. Luke's been out of the picture. They all get in the Falcon and then they go. And to me, where they're going this is where I think they're going to Pasana. And I think the motivation, because I was thinking, what's the motivation to go to Pasana? And I just could be completely wrong, but to me, it's Leia's telling him that Lando is there. Ooh. And they're going there to recruit Lando for the final battle. That's the only thing I can think of why they would go to Pasana. Yeah, I don't know why they would go.
Interesting.
Yeah, cool. No.
Because I don't think the people there are significant. I don't know why they would be.
I don't know how much we've learned of that.
I think he's there. I think he's there with them.
I don't know how much we've learned of that race of those people, the rogue people.
I don't know,
because it seems like there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of them.
I mean, it's a big settlement there, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think I think Pasana's the next planet, and they are going there for a purpose, obviously. I think but I'm kind of going with my version. It's if Rey has the dagger, I think they kind of know what this means a little bit. I think that's kind of sending them on their journey to find, like it's
leading them somewhere.
Either they already know what's going on, either they know perhaps the First Order has something planned with Palpatine, or if we know about Palpatine this early in the movie. But I think, I think it has something to do with the overall. Like, we need something. I don't know if it's land necessarily, but I think that they all go in there because we need something. There's some clue that they need to go investigate at this planet to help them learn more of what the First Order is doing.
Yeah,
some secret.
Cody.
Well, it's cool about that. I totally agree that Basana is likely the next place. I'll kind of stick with how mine's differing, where I feel like maybe the dagger hasn't been found, so I don't know if they're looking for the dagger. I really like your addition of Lando being there. I actually had just thought, for whatever reason, that Lando might be on Kajimi. So I'll wait till we get to that to talk about his involvement. But I like the Lando involvement. And for a reason why.
And that really only stems, honestly, from Resistance Reborn, that they're continuing to still grab people they know and just get, and I still think they're still recruiting at this point.
Right.
Well, and your hangar shot idea, I think, is dead on, whether it happens at this point or it's, on the Tantive or some other large ship. They have to build that team and then get that final game plan. So if they're picking up people along the way, Poe's past is with Zori, which will come later, I guess. Yeah. The why Lando thing, I think, is interesting. Whether or not they have the dagger or not, I feel like maybe there's a clue about Endor specifically, or whatever they want to call that other Endor.
It's Kelber.
Yeah,
Kefber. Sorry, Kefber.
Yeah,
Kefber.
So maybe Lando has some information that will eventually lead them to Kefber or something, which is kind of why I had Lando being maybe a planet later, just because it could potentially tie in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think, I think Pasana is the first time Rey and Kylo square off. So I don't think that they square off at the ship quite yet. Okay. Just because of the trailer, we initially saw Rey, and she's sort of out in the desert.
See, I can't place that. Like, I don't know what's happening there.
Why is she alone? Yeah.
Yes, I cannot. That's one of the things I was going to talk about later. Like, I can't really place when that happens.
That still totally feels like some kind of...
It feels like a trailer scene.
No, it's true. Because everything about that to me feels like it's... I don't want to keep saying the word vision because I feel like I'm going to say it a lot. But it feels like it's not really there. Either they're bridged still, their minds are bridged, and so they're seeing each other in each other's environments, or it's a vision. But yeah, Cody, I do think Kylo comes to Pasana because I think we've kind of seen that, been led to believe that, obviously, with his TIE fighter being there, possibly in real life. The Knights of Ren are there.
Do you think that one of them... Oh, I forgot the Knights of Ren are there. Do you think that one of them isn't there?
I don't think Kylo's there.
So
I don't think Kylo gets there.
Here's the thing. The TIE...
We're going to be so different.
Well, it's like it's there, but and like pulling a Luke. If he's not really there, possibly, because we...
could he be doing force projection?
Yeah, well, like I think their minds are still bridged.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Cody, you and I have analyzed. There's like behind the scenes footage, and there's a vanity. Well, I don't know if it's Vanity Fair, but there's a picture of our heroes, our three main heroes, and C-3PO, and I think Chewie, in this cave, which I presume is on Pasana. It's inside of a cave. They're all looking at something. They're all, and Rey has her lightsaber active.
Yeah,
they're all, and the guys are drawn their blasters, and they're all ready for a fight. We don't see what it is, but there is, in Celebration, they showed this featurette before the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and in that featurette shows a behind the scenes clip of that set and that scene.
Yeah,
I don't think the camera was rolling. I think the actors were just standing around. But in C-3PO's mask, his helmet, you see what looks like a red reflection. Looks like a lightsaber, so it looks like Kylo. So it's kind of like we're kind of making these connections of Kylo is there in this cave, face to face with our heroes. So again, whether or not he's actually there, and the minds are bridged, and he's being projected there, I don't know. Because it is like the TIE fighter thing. It is so hard to realistically place. So I'm not sure what I think there.
So
wait. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Cody.
I was just gonna say, touching on that clip, analyzing the behind the scenes clip of another clip. When we originally saw that clip, I feel like I showed it to Casey at one point, and we were both looking at it or something. Yeah. And for whatever reason, it's like all the people in the shot. Now maybe it'll be revealed that they're looking at something specific or Kylo doing something. it's like Rey has got her lightsaber drawn, but they're all standing really close together.
Yeah.
I feel like we never see shots of like Jedi with a lightsaber out and everybody really close.
Yeah.
And it almost looks like it's this moment where Kylo's there and they're all like, what's going on with Kylo?
And they're like,
we don't really trust you, but maybe we have to work together or something.
Because
originally I speculated this would be way at the end, but now I don't think that's the case. So
to me, it feels like Scooby and the gang. Like they're all scared, so they're huddled together, weapons drawn, looking at Kylo, ready for whatever's going to happen.
I think so. My prediction is that they go to Prasanna. Mm-hmm. They're going after Lando, and something. Here's what I think. Again, I'm trying to connect dots. I don't think Kylo shows up there. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm just confused on what that scene from the first teaser is. But because to me, when this is happening, I feel like that's happening on one side and then what's happening with Kylo's story. Because to me, what's got to happen early on, now I don't think our heroes know. I think Kylo has to find out about Palpatine somehow. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's he hears him calling to him or he finally reveals himself. I think Kylo finds out about Palpatine. Mm-hmm. And I think the rest of the movie, I think Kylo is driven by Palpatine.
Yeah.
And I don't think he goes to Prasanna because what happens is while he's doing that or figuring out, what the Emperor wants, or he's getting the lowdown of, because I think that's when we kind of start learning where Palpatine came from, like why he's been gone for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I think we have to learn that early.
Yeah.
We don't get that we don't get that totally at the end, because I think that the end is the Rise of Skywalker is what has to be figured out at the end. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go and take the next step is while they're on Prasanna, I think they are attacked by the Knights of Ren. So Kylo sends the Knights of Ren to Prasanna while he goes and figures out what the hell's happening, who this Palpatine guy is. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's that stuff we see on the speeders and the paint things and the
napalm
troopers,
bombs, they are.
the jet troopers or whatever. Yeah. There's a battle there or whatever. And I think we haven't seen any battle of the Knights of Ren. I think we actually see some fighting there of the Knights of Ren. So, but once that's over and they get Lando to me, I think Lando, and this is again just total assumption by me, I think Lando is the one that tells them we need to go to Kel Burr because I want to get my daughter, Jaina.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm thinking there's a rumor. There's been a rumor that's out there, and I think that's the motivation. We need to go get Jaina, and she's on Kef Burr, and that's the whole group again. Like you said, Cody, there's that group of them on that planet. We see that shot. They're all there. Well, I'm sorry, you were talking about them leaving, but they're still all there when they approach the Death Star. So all of them are still together, right? And that's, to me, I part of me feels like in that scene, because I watched that scene over and over the last few days, where they're walking up on the cliff there and they see it, like I kind of get the sense like they're surprised to see that. Like they stumbled upon it almost. But I do think that they're drawn, starting to think now that they're drawn there.
Yes.
So that's kind of where, and then, so then I'll hand it over to you in a second. So after the whole Palpatine and Kylo thing, Kylo gets sent there, and that's where they first meet up, which is on the water, and all that stuff.
So Kef Burr is your third planet then?
Yes.
Okay. I want to go back a little bit because I loved your idea of Kylo being guided, drawn by Palpatine. I want to take that a step further a little bit. If Kylo and Rey's minds are bridged, I think Rey is getting what Kylo's getting. I think Rey is hearing Palpatine in addition to Kylo.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh, that's why she's looking around all by herself.
I almost think that the Crawl might have to explain a little bit about Palpatine, a hint about Palpatine, just to plant that seed a little bit, and then we obviously find out more. But so I don't know if Rey and these guys, the heroes, are on their journey seeking out these clues about possibly Palpatine, because Rey's getting these visions along with Kylo. Maybe Rey and Kylo are on the same journey but opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm feeling. Yeah.
Either Rey is just ahead of the game. They're going to Pasaana because something is there that involves these clues about Palpatine, and Kylo and the Knights of Ren are just hot on their trail, and they catch up to him time after time after time because we see them fight many times, Rey and Kylo.
Yes.
So
kind of 4.
Yeah, I think they do. I don't know if they battle because we haven't seen that yet, but besides the TIE fighter, whatever that is, I think Kylo and the Knights of Ren are on Pasaana. I think whatever they get there takes them to the next planet, which is Kijimi, where they meet Zori Bliss, where we have whatever's happening with C-3PO being reprogrammed or whatnot. That whole thing, which I don't think is 3PO's end. I don't think he dies there. I just think he gets reprogrammed there, but kind of feels like a send-off. And then Kylo and the First Order meet them again. So I think every time they go to a new planet, the First Order meets them there, and they have.
So you think they go to Kijimi before Kef Burr?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can talk about why once we get through Cody and get to that point of the movie.
Yeah.
But I
agree with the Kijimi thing.
Yeah, so
I like that order.
I don't know what draws them to Kijimi. Besides, I know we've heard rumors about again 3PO needing to go there for something involving 3PO. Perhaps it's memories about Palpatine. Memories about the Emperor.
I'll tell you the only reason why I came to them going to Kef Burr first is because I feel like they're fighting now. I don't know what happens first, if they're fighting on top of the Death Star on the waves or that discussion that looks like that they have in the throne room. Right. Part of me feels like the discussion happens first. Right. Because she's looking for something. So she's getting drawn there.
There's shots of her scaling the innards of the Death Star. She's like climbing inside
yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, that's not training. That's her actually moving around.
At least that's how I interpret it.
I didn't interpret it that way, but that's probably right. So I think she comes across the throne room, and again, Kylo, that's where I think Kylo was sent there or knows that she's going to be there. Because I like the idea of them being bridged. But that's where they're in that throne room, and Kylo, that's where she finds out about Palpatine. Okay. He tells her. Yeah.
This is what's happening.
And he's basically telling her that, I need to destroy you, kind of thing. And now here's a cool twist I was kind of just thinking about too, is if you're Kylo Ren, and you are the supreme leader, but now all of a sudden you've been introduced to what is ultimately the ultimate Sith master. Right. You're no longer the master anymore. I'm starting to. I was just trying to think. I wonder how he would, if that affects his, his personality in this film. To know that, or does he accept because he knows actually who Palpatine is, maybe because of the history of things, and that he knows that he's ready to just be a Sith. So, because, that's the thing, too, is, again, marketing materials. We've actually seen the Sith symbol next to his marketing. So I truly think he's becoming Sith, right? So anyway, they're in the throne room. I think he kind of, that's how he explains it to Rey. And I think they actually fight it out there. That's what we see on top of the water. That's kind of where that's the only reason why I think they go to Kef Burr before they go to Kijimi.
Okay.
Cody.
I'd say, so how I differ here is Pasaana, maybe they're looking for the dagger. Rey and Kylo, I'm starting to really come along to the idea that Kylo's not really there. I think maybe even right before Pasaana, or at the same time, like you were saying, Dave, Kylo gets his mission about this dagger MacGuffin. Maybe it's from Palpatine and not sort of his Knights of Ren homies or whatever. And then, so that would then, just to catch us back up, so then I don't see what I feel like is maybe the reason why they keep going to these different planets or they keep meeting up multiple times is maybe this dagger, like you guys are suggesting, unlocks something with Palpatine, or maybe it's how they can sort of communicate or hear from him, or I don't know how that would work. And maybe Kylo gets it first, and then they go to Kijimi, or maybe nobody has it yet, and they all know that it's in the Death Star, and they go to Kijimi potentially to find Lando, and then somehow that leads them to somebody who can help get 3PO's memories about the Death Star or something, and that's, Zori maybe helps them with that or whatever. Kylo and them show up again, they fight again, And that's where I feel like Lando and or 3PO somehow get the connection to Kef Bir, sending our heroes to go to the Death Star ruins or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I always have to really speculate how they get from A to B, like how they get from planet to planet. So,
what's driving them? That's
I mean, I do think, like we just said, I think Palpatine is the driving force from very early on in the story, and they're trying to connect the dots and reveal what the ultimate plan is and stop it or prevent Palpatine from coming if they know that's what's indeed happening. Yeah,
I'm actually starting to think now as we're talking this out. It is curious about the dagger. Like it's drawing a lot of attention. Could this be? Because I'm starting to think this. Could this be like the kind of like the Lord of the Rings thing, where like Palpatine can't come back fully until he gets something or something happens? Like more. Sauron can't come back until he has the ring.
Yeah,
is he guiding and forcing Kylo to go do these things or do something, get something, and that's why they keep fighting each other, because maybe he has to get the dagger somehow.
Well, to that point, if Kylo gets the dagger first, the reason why I kind of think that Rey and them get onto a ship later is that we see her with the dagger later, so maybe they go on the ship to take the dagger, and that's how they escape, which then either leads them to maybe Kijimi or going even further down in our speculation to Kef Bir or the Death Star,
Look, I think Palpatine is doing what he's best at and just playing everybody for a fiddle. And I think he's playing Rey and Kylo and attracting them both. So I think the dagger is a key to something. Isn't there a picture of her holding it up like something like from the Goonies on Kef Bir?
Yes.
So
and that's what I'm saying. I think it's kind of drawing them to the Death Star.
So there's something there.
She only has it in that white room, as far as I know,
visibly,
and on Kef Bir.
Yeah.
So it's why it would make sense that they go to the ship.
I mean, it could be
very soon before Kef Bir.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that there's a couple of different artifacts that need to come together in order to maybe bring Palpatine back or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's
like Horcruxes.
Totally Horcruxes.
What
like Harry Potter?
Oh yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Like for Voldemort to come back or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly the same.
So that makes sense to me. Yeah. I mean, that's typical storytelling in a sense.
Yeah.
But
and like just coming off rewatching the Mortis story arc and Clone Wars, they had the Dagger of Mortis, which I'm not saying it's the same thing as this because it doesn't look the same thing, but who knows. The Dagger of Mortis controlled the sun.
Yes.
It can usually control the sun or the balance, in a sense, the balance of the Force, and it could had great power within that. So it's suffice to say, I think this dagger could very potentially have the same qualities of very much heavy imbued with Force qualities that could really be heavy ramifications on the balance, or bringing Palpatine back, or maybe Rey's trying to use it for something else. Maybe this dagger could bring life to bring Luke back. Who knows? Maybe I like to think that Rey is approaching this journey with certain intentions in mind, and Palpatine is praying that happens, only to twist it to his own will. Doing all this, of course, from whatever realm he's living in. Spiritual, whatever. So this dagger is, and we've only seen it twice, but I feel like it's going to be present throughout most of the movie.
Yeah. So to me now, this is where once at least in my timeline here, once they fight on the Death Star, to me, something happens to where they split up or whatever, because there's that shot of something. To me, I don't know what happens, because there's that shot of Finn running down in the water, like Rey,
and John is there too.
And John is there too. So I'm like, I don't know what could happen there. Something like a wave comes in and like
she gets taken there. Or...
I've got a theory.
Okay.
Of what could happen. So Finn is yelling no because we've seen Rey dispatch Kylo plenty of times.
Yeah.
But we've never seen Kylo get the best of Rey in a fight.
Right.
Is he yelling Rey or no? I thought he was yelling Rey.
I don't remember.
I think he's yelling Rey.
Yeah.
So he's sort of afraid for her or whatever.
Yes.
Or,
very similar to Force Awakens.
My thought is that Kylo may somehow... get the better of her in the lightsaber battle. And this is where everything is just, I have nothing to go off of here, but I somehow think, only because we've not seen any of our characters, from this lightsaber battle and pretty much any other marketing, I feel like this is like a very Return of the Jedi style moment where I feel like Kylo might have to decide if he can or cannot kill Rey. Right. And that could be a moment that shows a little bit of is there good in him? Is there light still in him? I don't know for sure if it's like hey, let's work together now, or if it's more like he just leaves the door open just long enough to where, like you're saying, Dave, they split up and maybe Rey kind of knows that there's still good in him or something like that. I don't know.
But okay, because to me right now, I feel like where I'm at in the story, I don't know what Finn is looking at. To me, I feel like maybe could be some maybe big wave that knocks him out in the water. That's why Finn's freaking out because she could be dead. I don't know, but so for some reason, I think somehow they separate, like Rey and Kylo do, kind of like the Earth splitting in front of them, right? And, and something happens to where they separate, and so they gather up and leave. Now, this is where we obviously differ because I think they go to Kijimi then.
Okay.
And because I think Kijimi, now, are we pretty clear that Kijimi is this ice planet that's kind of floating in space?
Almost like a big old space iceberg, a spaceberg or something.
That's kind of what it looks like, right? I guess
it kind of has those little pockets
outpost.
of lights. It's almost like a little sort of mining. Outpost kind of thing. Yeah.
But obviously it has to have an atmosphere, I guess.
It's like, to me, that that's why I don't think it's a full planet. I think it is like a small thing, almost like that outpost that was in Rogue One, where Cassian.
Yes,
we first saw Cassian.
You're right. Okay, yeah, exactly.
I think it's like that, almost.
That. Yeah. Okay, so to me, I think they go there because I think there's probably I think that's close to maybe even orbiting a planet, where that is where I think Palpatine is.
Gotcha.
That's where the throne is.
Yeah, that's
where the Star Destroyers are. That's where the final battle is going to take place. So to me, they go to Kijimi first to now this is where I don't know. I don't know what Zori. I don't know what her purpose is. I really can't think of one. But for some reason, I feel like they go there to get her, and that's where see that there's again, that little confrontation, it looks like, between her and Kylo. Now, I don't know. I just don't know why that happens, but I think that we're there very briefly until and that's where I think it kind of splits up from there, where Rey goes to the next location, which I think is a planet right there. That is where Palpatine is.
Okay. Yep.
And then I think the other group goes and rendezvous with the rest of the fleet and brings the whole fleet there, because all of a sudden we're seeing Star Destroyers just start rising up out of whatever they're coming out of.
Yeah.
And which sets up the final battle.
Okay.
Now,
I feel like in between those two could be that you talked about the game plan sort of shot where the whole crew is there, and I can't remember who all we actually see, but it's you hear Poe giving a speech to all the other resistance that are a part of their.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that is actually an early in the movie thing, or if it's
I think that's
late, a late game. This is a halftime speech, we're about to go up against, the whole First Order or whatever.
Gotcha. I'm kind of there. Going back a little bit. So after Persona, I think they go to Kijimi for this, whatever. Then after Kijimi, they go. Something takes them to. Well, I guess they find out more about the Death Star, and so they go to Kef Bir, where they meet Jannah. I think Jannah's just there. Now, it'd be great if she is Lando's kid. I don't know how that works and everything, but
there's a shot of her in the Falcon though.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, I think she follows them after that.
Them,
So they go to Kef Bir, leads them to the Death Star, and again, Kylo, First Order, they are hot on their trails right there, and all the battle, all that stuff happens there. Now, that's why I think that this is the last planet we see before the Act 3, essentially, where or at the end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3, where the final battle happens, the climax and all that stuff, because we see Finn and Jannah on these horses, these Star Wars horses. I forget what they're actually called.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then we see them in shots running on top of a Star Destroyer in upper atmosphere of some planet. So I just feel like, realistically, again, it's Star Wars, of course, but like I feel like realistically that has to be at Kef Bir, because the First Order approaches all some Star Destroyers. I guess one. I don't know. Again, I don't know how they get up there, but they could. The Star Destroyer could be landed and they run up on it. I don't know how
it looks like
happen,
they're coming from underground or something. They're either under the water.
Right. Some do.
So it could be they're on top of the land that's on. I don't know.
I don't know how that.
But it seems
works.
like they're on there fighting though. It's not like they're surprised to be on there.
Yeah. So I think now. Yeah, I think they are starting off on Kef Bir and they end up on these Star Destroyers, and we have this ultimate battle in space, and then Rey does get taken by Kylo to wherever the throne room is. Now, again, I don't know if that throne room is too far away, or maybe the throne is not necessarily on a planet, but in a big fortress in space. I don't know. So that's where I get really hairy in my speculation, because I don't know, again, from A to B how it gets there, but I do think it's Kef Bir, and then the team splits, because you have Poe flying a ship, fighting, you have Finn and Jannah in the Falcon, Lando's in the Falcon. You have all this stuff happening. Maybe I think Finn might not be in the Falcon. I can't remember if he's in the Falcon or not. But Lando's definitely piloting the Falcon in the big space. So I do think that hangar shot with all the crew is towards the end. I just can't place it now. So I just don't know, because we see Poe there.
I think it's early on.
We see Finn.
Because I think they still look. They don't look weathered and battered yet.
Sure.
I think that's the beginning. But anyway, I do think that the thing about it is the throne. Every shot that we see in the throne,
the new throne,
the throne with Rey in it or whatever, and then the Star Destroyers. There's all that lightning going on.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're all very close to each other. Like I think they're on the ground, and this thing's happening in the atmosphere.
Very true. Yeah.
So somehow where that is, I just don't know that planet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see. I don't think it's Kef Bir. But you may think it's Kef Bir, right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think the throne.
So you think they leave Kef Bir?
I don't know. I can't think of where it is, honestly.
Maybe
it is.
One thing that Casey had kind of mentioned a while back, and it kind of ties into the Dark Empire comic, is that all that lightning is in the Dark Empire comic. The Emperor has this power of the Force Storm, and so I wonder if the Force Storm and the Emperor's emergence could happen. And sort of tracking with what you guys were thinking, where the our resistance team goes up against those old Star Destroyers, and maybe that's where the Sith fleet comes in. If the Force Storm could completely change the terrain of an area potentially. I mean, I don't know what a Force Storm really does, but maybe, to your point, Casey, they don't really have to travel anywhere. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do go on a mission to get. Maybe they go back to the hangar, regroup, and then go. They know where they're going to go take the final fight. But I like that idea of the Force Storm. I think that was a good.
I think that's
pretty good.
I think Dark Empire is going to play more so in the ending. I think Dark Empire definitely plays a factor in that. So the idea of that Force Storm, Palpatine generates it, and that's kind of like a physical threat that the in the comic that the New Republic has to deal with. New Republic forces. And once they defeat Palpatine, then the Force Storm goes away. So I think in this movie, it's going to be less so of a threat. It's more so just a byproduct of Palpatine's presence. I think his presence just generates all this crazy lightning, because we definitely see it in the Star Destroyer shots, and Kylo whipping out his lightsaber and walking on whatever land he's on, and then the throne room. So it's all definitely connecting it by location, unless the Force Storm just covers a multitude of space, but. Which would be cool. So Yeah, I definitely think Kef Bird, and then they split up to have the final battles there.
Okay, so I think safe to say we've reached the final battle. Before we kind of talk about how we think it's going to end, let's run through some assumptions or some things that we missed, maybe, or we have that we could persuade and change our minds here.
Sure.
So my first thing out there that I was kind of thinking about, of course, is do you think we will get an explanation of where Palpatine has been? I think that it's going to come, again, in some conversation that Palpatine has with Kylo and some kind of reveal. Now, what I don't know, and this is where I'm just completely in the dark, is I don't know. I can't really predict why he all of a sudden just now is coming back. And what his full intention is towards the end of the movie. Like, is the main goal to fully eradicate the Jedi? Like, Rey is the last Jedi. He can't do anything or take over again or whatever until she's done and there's no more Jedi. It's funny. I'll just kind of throw this back out there. Watching again The Force Awakens again this morning or today, in the very beginning of that, in that first conversation with Lor Santeca, it's funny because he says the first line he says is, "This will begin to make things right." Mm-hmm. He says something about the Jedi need to return for there to be balance. To bring back balance, the Jedi need to return in order to have balance in the galaxy again.
To restore balance.
Again. So it's like, I heard that again. I'm like, wait a minute. So
what does he know?
That's the very beginning of this trilogy.
Yeah.
So somehow I feel like that's got to come back. And maybe that's what Palpatine is trying to do, is obviously get rid of the light side of the Force. In order to come back. So that's one thing I wanted to throw out there. Like, any opinions on that? Where that
more so how he comes back
and where he's been, and what his purpose is in this whole thing.
I mean, there is an underlying theme of Sith is just power and to live forever, basically, with ultimate control, I think. So I do think that's a part of it. That's Palpatine wants to come back. He wants to gain what he lost, or maybe it's more than that. It's gain what he lost in the sense that everybody just needs to burn, like Cinder, Operation Cinder, in a way. If I can't have it, no one can. Mm-hmm. So I think yes, he wants to come back. He wants to get power. He wants to control everything. But more so than that, I think there is a bigger threat than just simply him coming back. I think him coming back means ultimate destruction of everything. So whatever that means, however that manifests, I think him coming back just spells doom pretty immediately for the galaxy. And they have to stop it, or else everything is lost, essentially. So how he comes back, though, I don't know. That's hard. I think it has to do with some sort of resurrection type thing attached to objects. So the dagger or something else like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the how, I feel like, I mean, this is maybe a less popular one because it feels a lot like a Voldemort kind of scenario.
I know.
It's like he's just always
it's hard
as a spirit. He's just always been, or he found a way to unlock like the sort of Plagueis idea. The Plagueis idea was stopping people from dying, but maybe he just stopped himself from dying in a spiritual sense,
sure.
And maybe he sort of bounced around either to objects or like a Snoke or whatever, or the Vader mask, or I don't know.
Right.
And maybe there is a cloning aspect, and it could be all the above. He was an essence, and he's had to sort of bounce around for years. The why he's only coming back now, I feel like the only thing that I could pinpoint of this exact moment in the story would be, even though Luke was cut off from the Force, that somehow he could always sense Luke's presence and only now that Luke Skywalker is gone can he actually even attempt to come back. Like potentially.
Yeah, total. I like that a lot. I like.
But it's still been a year.
I mean, who knows? I don't know. Again, how he comes back? Like now it's ready, but so maybe it takes this long to generate enough, whatever, to plant the seeds to get Kylo. Because I don't know what Kylo's been doing this past year.
True. Yeah.
So he this whole time maybe the movie starts and Kylo already knows about Palpatine and has been trying to, or he's already been getting voices. Or, I don't know. So,
but I think that's a big plot point that can't be skipped over.
No, totally. No.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm so curious. I don't know because we've gotten
at
least what I've seen and read. I don't have any really inclination that leads me towards one theory or the other.
I have no idea. Yeah,
so I can't say. I can just go off. Dark Empire was clones, and I don't know if they'll do that again. So Resurrection feels and attached objects definitely feels like Harry Potter. So I don't know if they'll do that. So I don't know what else they could do.
And that exists in the comics too.
It does. So they've made the point to that, and who knows if JJ's looked at that or has been consulted that type of mythology exists.
Yeah, I think so. But
whether
he uses it.
Yeah, and then there's the whole world between worlds theory out there, which I don't think they'll do that.
Wow.
But again,
time travel.
Again, that exists. Like he jumped space time there. I don't know because I watched that arc again. And it's like there are definitely more portals, but I just don't know if I like the idea that that's a part of Star Wars. So.
Yeah, you can't solve everything with that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think I've been on this train since the beginning. And I know you guys I don't think have been, but I believe Kylo is going to die. And I was actually leaning towards him dying actually on Kef Burr.
Oh gosh.
Because now what kills my theory is that if I go to Kijimi after that, he's on Kijimi, right? We've seen him kind of show up there. So I don't think that's but so I'm starting to think now he dies at the end. Not the end, but the kind of that whatever that final location is with Palpatine, Rey, and Kylo. And then part of me now is leaning towards Kylo successfully bringing the Emperor back, but then the Emperor killing him and trying to tempt Rey.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vision. I think the Dark Rey is the vision we get of him kind of...
This is what it will look like if
we
work,
exactly.
work
kind
together.
of thing. Because because you remember, if you think back to Return of the Jedi, I mean, his whole intent was to have him kill Vader, Luke kill Vader, and become his apprentice, and therefore there's no other Jedi. And this is it. We're the only two Force users, basically, in the galaxy, right? So I think that's kind of the same trend, is Kylo... maybe there's that sense still of the light in him. Maybe there's still a little bit. I don't think there is, but maybe there is. Maybe he senses that. Maybe he just feels like Kylo's not the apprentice he wants, and maybe he takes him out somehow. And because I do think Kylo dies before we actually get to the end of the movie. I don't think there's any kind of sacrificing or anything like that.
Interesting.
I just think he dies.
I do like that. There's a potential that Kylo is in a sense. I don't want to say, but possessed by Palpatine. Like I like the thought that Palpatine has to attach himself to a vessel, and that's why he likes either Kylo or Rey. It's like a race to get to him, but ultimately he thinks Rey's the better vessel for him. So maybe he uses Kylo for a time, and then maybe he disposes of him. Who knows? But I like to think. I mean, I think Kylo is going to die. I do think he's going to die.
Yeah, okay.
I differ.
But do you think he's going to die getting redeemed?
Yeah, so that's the big thing. Bendemption. Cody and I think, are on this team. So I think...
Team Reylo.
It's more... Yeah, Reylo. And that's more so just a personal thing. I just love the optimism of... I think Star Wars needs to tell that story of the ultimate villain, not just becoming a good guy and... I would love it if Kylo lived. Personally, I would love the story to be, look how evil this person is and look how much they can be redeemed and survive. But realistically, I think Kylo will die. It's just before he does die, I think he will be redeemed, at least in the eyes of Rey. because she sees whatever sacrifice he does. I kind of like the thought too that Kylo brings Palpatine in, but then he realizes like I made a terrible mistake.
Yes, basically,
and
yes.
then he tries to stop him, and then helps him and Rey together stop Palpatine.
I don't think that happens.
Again, there's some echoes there, Dark Empire, but
yeah, there's a really good Dark Empire line where I think I don't know if it's Leia says it's this idea that a Jedi alone can't defeat the Sith.
Yeah,
but like two together or something, kind of a little cheesy-ish.
Totally. It was basically Luke and Leia holding hands and concentrating in the Force, and the pure light side emanating from them defeated the Emperor. That's kind of how.
Yeah.
And it also had the unborn child in Leia's belly that they use the power from that. So they all kind of banded together. I like the theme of that where Rey and Kylo, or at this point Ben Solo and Rey are joining forces to defeat Palpatine, and I like that. I like to think that they do it in a more Luke and Jedi like defenseless way, like they try their hand at physically attacking and defeating Palpatine, but more so they now have to turn to a more selfless and defenseless and a true Jedi way of offense.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that looks like, but
where does Luke fall in all this? Because
poor Luke,
we hear his voice. His voice dominates the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the, to me, honestly, one of the greatest lines is the overcoming fear is the destiny of a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love that line, and I am starting to think. And I didn't say this in the beginning because I wanted to hold it back, but the part where we see Rey, running around the jungle and training, like I think Luke is talking to her during that.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be cool.
I think we see Luke in the very beginning.
And then you have like Leia watching because they probably don't have footage of her talking, and then you have Luke's voice. That would be
clever.
Awesome.
Yeah, clever.
But I think we see Luke early on. We hear, and I think we even see him. I think we see Force Ghost Luke early on, and it's that whole thing about it's your fight. We've passed everything on all we know, and he's out of it. Like he can't get involved, and that's. I think. Sad to say, I think Leia and Luke are out of it the first act.
Like the rest of the movie, or just
for the rest of the movie?
Yeah, the first act is their last.
Like
appearance.
We see them in the first act and hear them in the first act, and I think from then on, it's our new characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
I think that's. Unfortunately, it took 3 movies to just get it to them, but I think that's where JJ. I think that's been You've heard it subtly in all his interviews. It's about these characters and their journey. They're finally together and they're all going. It's like that's what this movie is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think Leia is only in the first act, and I do think that she, her character dies somehow. I have my theories on how that happens, but I assumed Luke would be in the rest of the movie, but not in a crazy big part. I think he is more so guiding Rey, and we see him every now and then, maybe once or like 3 times, in a Force Ghost form. But I'm not sure what role he plays, if at all, because it's weird. Because Last Jedi put that whole thing in there of Yoda doing the Force lightning and. Luke, I don't know, projecting himself. Anyways, it's like you think that maybe that can lend itself to Luke having a more direct influence in this last movie, but I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to happen.
Cody, Luke.
Yeah, that's the one. I have like a list of a couple of things that I'm like, I just don't know where it fits. I like your idea that he could be training in the beginning or something. When she's training. See, I feel like I had this like sort of dreamscape of the end of the movie where to defeat someone like Palpatine, there's like a physical fight, but then he's such a powerful being that even if he gets defeated physically or maybe simultaneously, there would have to be like a spiritual battle. So the Force Ghost would also have to dispatch the Emperor's sort of like essence, or however he's been able to live on simultaneously or right after or during when potentially Rey. And in my mind, Rey is battling, and somehow Kylo does have a redeeming moment.
Cool.
So it would be ideal if like Luke was a part of all that. Because in the trailer they have the Rey shot, and it's like a close up of her, and you hear Luke and Leia's voice. But I don't know. Wasn't that like at one point like a Return of the Jedi draft had like Force Ghosts fighting or something? I don't know. I feel like that was like an early draft of a movie, but I think that's unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back to the only reason I think Luke isn't in the rest of the movies, because I go back to The Empire Strikes Back when Luke leaves to go fight Vader. Obi-Wan says, "If you choose to do this, I cannot interfere."
Right.
Like, I feel like there's a Force Ghost thing where they cannot interfere with...
It's a Force Ghost thing.
Yeah, they can't interfere with the
natural order.
Natural order, almost, yeah.
And honestly, you just saying that, because I was in the same vein, but that's backed up now for me, justified, because, again, I just watched the Mortis trilogy, and there's a part where the daughter tells Obi-Wan, because there's a lot of stuff happening with the son and the father and Anakin and Ahsoka. So Obi-Wan tries to get the daughter's help to save them, and she says, "I can't. It's like our rule that we can't interfere with the ways of the Force." So I kind of just use that as justification of like the Force Ghosts in general. The rule of the cosmic Force is that those in the cosmic Force realm can't interfere with
the living Force.
What's going on? Yeah. So. The ways of the will of the Force as it pertains to the living Force and the physical realm. So that would be cool. That's
on the topic of Force Ghosts, because I have another theory that I'm going to throw out there this is one that I hope is correct.
Just total, just like this is what I want to happen.
Exactly. Because I'm starting to think of, and this will be actually a topic, one topic that I have down the list here about connections to the previous trilogies.
Yep. Okay.
Here's my one big connection. Hayden Christensen as Anakin.
Right. Yes.
So
it's done. It's happened.
Okay. Moving on. Now, I think, again, first act, I actually think we see a Force Ghost of Anakin.
Oh, wow. That early.
In the first act.
So cool.
Part of the training.
Okay.
And the reason why I think it's significant, again, this is completely my theory, and honestly, it's kind of got solidified when I was watching Force Awakens again just now. I think there's gonna be a little talk. There's gonna be him talking to Rey about so Force Awakens, when Kylo is talking to the mask.
Yes,
I feel it.
Yes,
the pull to the light. I feel like that's Anakin. Good Anakin trying to pull him to the light. And I think that I think we're going to hear him say that, like, to Rey, like, I've tried. I tried to be that voice in his head, because for some reason maybe he couldn't manifest himself in front of him. But I think he was that essence trying to pull him to the light. Right? That's completely my
that's cool
theory, but that's cool. A way you can drop in Anakin, connect him to to connect this movie to the previous trilogies, and still not interfere with the main story.
I like that a lot. I mean, I feel like maybe even a step further. And if Anakin, because the thing is I feel like when they bring back old characters, like they very specifically brought back Yoda, because Ewan never shared scenes with Mark Hamill or with Luke. That version of Obi-Wan would not have been
that's a good point.
That Luke knew. Wow. So they chose to bring back, Frank Oz and Yoda, because it was who Luke knew. So a step further of that could be that, Kylo and or Ben Solo idolizes Vader, And a big turning moment for him or something could be, like you're saying, hearing that voice constantly throughout, or seeing him finally near the end of the movie could be like a big pivotal moment. Because when you mentioned hearing his voice, at one point, like probably way back, I always thought we would get beginning of the movie, Kylo, still really evil Kylo, is like haunted almost. I put it in quotes because he's being haunted by good Force ghosts of like Luke. And so, because Luke always says, or not always says, Luke says at the end of Last Jedi, I'll always be with you.
That's right. That's right.
And then he adds in the other dig, he says, just like your father.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, what does he mean by that? How does he know that? And so is it really just a thing because he knows that he always thinks about it, or he can sense it in him? But I don't know. That could be really cool if somehow constantly Kylo's the one that's actually getting talked to by the Force Ghost. But
love that. So my crazy theory about Anakin's involvement. First of all, I would love it if he was like a Force Ghost talking to Rey or Kylo, and with Luke. It's just like that would be so satisfying.
Oh my gosh.
Cool,
that would be because that would be one character from every trilogy, basically, right?
I love that. But so here's my crazy. It involves like Palpatine and stuff. There's no basis really here for this, but this is what would be cool. So Palpatine uses Vader's helmet essentially, and it's like a Horcrux, I guess. So there was unused art in the Force Awakens, or unused story that we saw in the Force Awakens, the Art of book, where you have the concept art of Anakin split right with Vader, kind of like that was how he was going to appear. Am I right, Cody? Like Vader or Anakin was going to be like a dual kind of Vader Anakin Force spirit.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was almost like it was like his broken helmet on one half, and then it was like the Hayden Christensen face underneath, or like split in half. It was kind of cool. Yeah,
and I think we already got evidence that JJ is reusing some elements that he didn't use in Force Awakens, simply of the remnants of the Death Star, because that was a remnant, or there was concept art of underwater scenes of Rey swimming through wreckage of the Death Star. From that was supposed to be in Force Awakens, but they didn't do that. So I think that idea of a force of Anakin's spirit, since he's the chosen one, since he had his split between his life as Vader and his life as Anakin, like that created a rift, which would allow Palpatine to come back. Because we know from what George Lucas has said, if they still hold it to be true, that the Sith can't live on through the Force, really, as a Force spirit.
Yeah, right.
Maybe there's a way they can attach themselves, as we've kind of seen in comics. So Palpatine's aura, Force Sith aura, whatever, attaches himself to Anakin / the Chosen One's Force remnant, whatever, which is attached to the helmet. So maybe when they trash the helmet and the podium, whatever thing, that kind of maybe that unlocks something. I don't know. But anyways, Palpatine uses the helmet and the powers of the Chosen One and Anakin to resurrect himself in the form of Anakin Skywalker. Like he uses his body, but it's Palpatine's consciousness inside of Anakin's body.
Wow.
So throughout the movie, you hear Palpatine talking through the Force and tempting and luring Rey and Kylo, and maybe you see something of a vision of him in the throne room. I don't know, at the end. But ultimately, the physical threat of it is Anakin lightsaber dueling Kylo and Rey. But ultimately they defeat the physical form of Palpatine, and then they have to defeat him spiritually in some kind of cosmic realm. I don't know. That's such an epic theory that probably won't happen.
That's huge.
But like that would be crazy epic in my eyes, and a cool way to tie in Anakin Skywalker. But anyways, that's my insane theory. Okay. Realistically, I want him back as a Force ghost to talk to Rey and Kylo and Luke. That's really what I want.
I think it'd be really cool. And I don't know why this would happen, but like the part of me when I say like that Anakin is the light calling to him on the light side, but he's also hearing Vader's voice to pull to the dark, right? If that, I don't know if that can truly exist because Vader doesn't exist anymore, or does he? I don't know.
I think it's possible because I think everything's up in the air because he's the chosen one. I think that allows for new things to happen.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Let's just talk about that then. Does the chosen one actually, besides Anakin appearing, is that part of the prequel trilogy, which kicks off the entire episodic movies, right? Episode 1, the Chosen One. It's like, does that hold true at all through this movie? Does that Chosen One theory or
right of Rey being the chosen one?
No, just the whole thing. Well, if Anakin is the chosen one,
oh sure,
is that part of the conclusion of the film at all? Do you guys think?
Well, here's something they don't have to do, but I feel like it would make me happy and probably most fans and us, is to not slap in the face the idea that Anakin was the chosen one and that Vader, when he was redeemed in Return of the Jedi, brought balance to the Force.
Sure.
I feel like they need to tactfully weave that in to somehow the end of this whole thing with Palpatine. But I really don't know how. I really can't speculate to how. I don't know how you would do it.
So you're saying the theory didn't end at Return of the Jedi. That the
it was a balance.
That wasn't balanced then?
Yeah, I think at the end of Return of the Jedi, I like to believe that Anakin brought balance to the Force.
So the prophecy was fulfilled at the end of the Return of the Jedi.
So here's the thing. It's like, it seemed like it was, but let's say it wasn't, and it's still unbalanced, and it's even more unbalanced now in Rise of Skywalker. But then that's why Anakin is involved, because somehow teaming with Rey and Ben Solo, and really using Anakin's spirit coming back somehow to bring true balance to the Force. It's almost like the last nail in the coffin of bringing balance to the Force. And I think Anakin could have a part in that, doing that. The spirit of Anakin could. So I don't like to think that Rey brings balance to the Force, because yes, that would slap in the face Anakin doing so at the end of Return of the Jedi. So if it's out of balance, the Chosen One has to bring balance to the Force. Yeah. And that has to be Anakin.
Interesting. So I just again popped in my head. We're talking this out. Do you remember a while ago, was it maybe Force Awakens or maybe it was going into The Last Jedi, that the theory was that there's multiple chosen ones, right?
No, that was the theory, before leading into The Last Jedi.
But also that maybe it's not just multiple chosen ones, but that Rey is the resurrection, right, of
the
Anakin,
reincarnated
reincarnated of the chosen one.
Yeah.
And so it's technically Anakin, or in a sense, right? You know what I mean?
It's the chosen one. It's the spirit of the chosen one. It's not Anakin Skywalker. It's not like
because
she has memories.
Because
of
remember,
Anakin.
there was a theory or there was an article or something about how they said Rey is Luke's father.
Oh my god!
You remember that? Anakin is in Rey now or something like that.
Yeah.
So is that at all possible? Because that would actually make sense. The Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
no, that ties back to my whole beef with the Cave of Mirrors back in Last Jedi, because when I saw that, I was thinking like, yep, she's the chosen one, because not only do we see endless copies of Rey,
yes,
thinking like, oh, these represent the endless versions of the chosen one, past, present, and future, who knows? But then she saw in the reflection of the mirror two shadows becoming one. So I thought, oh, great, she has one parent. She's born of the Force. So she's the chosen one. But then she saw herself, and then what Kylo said, all that stuff. So whatever comes of that, because again, we do know that her parentage will be answered finally.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
Whatever that is. So I love the idea that, I do like the idea that she is reincarnated. She's the next chosen one. So it doesn't necessarily slap in the face of Anakin, because I think he can still have brought balance at that time. But now time has passed and there's imbalance again. So it kind of loses weight, what Anakin did, but kind of doesn't. So I'm kind of split in the middle in where I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, Palpatine coming back kind of takes a little bit away from what Anakin did. Mm-hmm. To be totally honest,
I feel that.
Like as a fan, it's
totally.
like I'm excited about Palpatine coming back. I think it's the right move for them and for this story. Mm-hmm. But a little bit of it is a little like, okay, the chosen one has done this already. Mm-hmm. So is it like the Force always has to manifest itself in a chosen one when the time comes? I mean, I could see them doing that.
I think that's it. I think that is it. It's like, the Force writes it. If there's an imbalance, whether it's the light being too powerful or the dark being too powerful. I think the Force will correct it.
Yeah, that's why as part of me is starting to feel like, he thinks he kills Palpatine, but then, the Force's intent wasn't the chosen one to die also. So when Anakin dies, it has to, he dies, but not after Palpatine somehow lives, right? So, part of me is starting to feel like, okay, well then now the Force is reincarnating a chosen one, and that the essence of Anakin is in Rey. Now, is it Anakin? I don't think it is, but that's where I'm starting to think like that's the rise of Skywalker. Like Anakin Skywalker. I mean, yeah. So this could be my ultimate theory: is that Anakin Skywalker dies at the end of Return of the Jedi, but that wasn't the intent of the Force, right? So the Force had to reinvent him, in order to. And so over the course of her growing up, that's the rise of Skywalker to get to this point where now the chosen one ultimately defeats the evil.
Gotcha.
So that's starting to be my theory of why it's called the Rise of Skywalker.
I mean, that's cool. I don't know how they'll explain it all though throughout the movie.
I don't either.
But it
could be a Palpatine explanation.
Yeah, that would be cool. So I'm open to it. I am.
What do you think of that, Cody? No?
No, I think it's all interesting. I mean, I think some of this bleeds into the who is Rey.
Yeah.
Who are Rey's parents.
Yeah, totally.
So this could be like a good kind of segue because I don't think that they're gonna take away what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. And so for that very reason, I don't think that she's like another kind of chosen one or just like the Force is deciding to. I mean, I guess there is something to be said that like the Force Awakened, the Force awakened in Rey, and it did it for a reason. I do like this idea that the Force, like you guys were kind of mentioning, like it's there when it needs to combat the dark side. And so if being there to combat the dark side is creating a new chosen one, I could get behind that. I don't know. I don't think that Rey is like a Skywalker in a roundabout way of being a chosen one or a Solo or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm on the team that the whole meaning of Rise of Skywalker, I don't know how I feel about it, her adopting the name, so to speak, or even the legacy, but I don't know what else it could be.
Right.
So
no, I'm totally convinced that months later, after this movie's out, that we will see merchandise with her name being Rey Skywalker.
Wow.
That's what I think.
Wow. Oh, see, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'll probably like it, I guess. I don't know.
If it's done right, without her actually being a born Skywalker or a Force manifested chosen one Skywalker, I feel like she already does embody, like Kylo says it, she was looking for a father figure in Han Solo.
Yes.
And Solo's not a Skywalker, but Leia, Leia was also a mentor of her, and Luke was a mentor. So the whole family was really her family and her parentage.
That's very
for
true.
This stage of her life. So this idea of her, I mean, I guess this is sort of very close to me is, this idea that she could be adopted into that family. I feel like I could totally get behind. I just don't know how they explain that.
I know,
because it's not like it's not like she's, Leia, Carrie Fisher is not going to be in the movie much, and Luke's a Force ghost. There's just a lot of hard ways to explain some of that stuff. So
no, it's tough. I don't know.
That's
tough.
That's kind of I'm on board though. That I think ultimately my theory is that she becomes she's the Skywalker.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true because it's the title has to be about the hero because it always has been. Yeah. And this title has to be about her. Yeah. So that's
I think she's the last of the Jedi and the last of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Is basically what's to me is going to happen. Yeah. Real quick, what about when do we hear? do you care or do you need to know about Snoke and his background or what his involvement was in The Last Jedi?
I mean, I would like one line or two lines to explain a little bit, like, oh, he was a protege of mine, or he was a clone of mine. I don't know, something, just something, a little something, so Cody can get his 6-pack.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
A, because he was a whole character in another 2 movies.
Yeah.
And B, because I've got a 6-pack on the line with Corey that Snoke is going to be mentioned in the movie.
Some fashion.
Wait, he doesn't think it?
Corey thinks no. Corey thinks no.
We made the bet at like as Celebration.
Yeah.
I feel like after the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, so Corey knows whether or not he's losing the bet or not because he knows about this movie already.
Well, yeah, he hasn't said that though. So yeah,
because he's keeping it from us.
But that's true. He may already know if he's going to lose the bet or not.
Yeah. I think the fact that he's not bragging, I think he knows he's losing.
Ooh.
So
they just have to say his name once and he loses.
I think they have to mention it. It's mentioning, I don't, his backstory, I don't know if we'll get that deep dive into his backstory, but there will be, I think Palpatine will explain a little bit about what he was doing.
Yeah, he was just a pawn of mine or something like that. I don't know.
What about C-3PO and the whole Red Eyes thing? Mm-hmm. Like, what is happening what do you think is happening in that scene? Because I don't know where to me, that lands on, they're on Kijimi, and this is right before Rey goes to the throne room or whatever, and they go into the battle. But I can't really pinpoint why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to some early rumors about which were confirmed because we saw in the trailer that there's the Babu Frick character now that's specialty is reprogramming protocols and stuff like that in droids, especially ones that are like have obstacles in front of them, whatever. So C-3PO definitely looks like he's getting reprogrammed, and the rumor is that I've heard a couple things. I've heard that he gets a different protocol where it kind of weaponizes him a little more, and that's kind of confirmed to me by the Red Eyes and also some of the material we've seen of him with a bowcaster in hand.
Yes.
So maybe that's true too. Also, I've heard that there's something vital in his memory bank that's being uncovered to help them with their mission.
Yeah.
So maybe it's both. It's probably both. I can see it being both. But
So is the Red Eyes just like a callback to Attack of the Clones when he gets put on the battle droid?
Maybe. But I think it's definitely evident of whatever happens to him, and he's now evil C-3PO or something like that.
I wonder if they actually pull the memory out, like, oh, he was created by Anakin Skywalker.
I think so. I think that scene is going to be so cool to harken back to a lot. Now here's actually a cool thing. Reading Resistance Reborn, C-3PO knows about Anakin Skywalker in terms of history.
Yes,
because he references, Anakin Skywalker did this and this, whatever. So he's aware of who Anakin Skywalker is based on the history books. But I don't know if he he does it because his memory is wiped. Yes. But I don't know if it was ever told to him later that
he was made by him.
R2D2.
Who would know? Who would know? R2 would know.
Oh, hey, just so you know.
Yeah, it's true.
They wiped your memory years ago, but here's what happened. I don't know if that's happened or not, but I like to think that this is a moment where it just recalls all of the prequels.
Yes.
And 3PO just remembers everything. Like a Born Identity moment.
That'd be pretty neat, yeah. Okay, so what, kind of the last thing on my list, I guess, is are there any other connections that you can think of or that you would like to see come back from the previous trilogies? Any other ones? Cody, you got any?
One thing that would be interesting, and I don't really know how they go about it and what character is the conduit for it, but this idea of becoming a Force ghost, I don't know if they'll ever explain that or if it's better left a mystery. Maybe even like breadcrumbs as opposed to like flat out, here's the Jedi book on doing it. Because Luke appearing to Rey, I feel like we keep taking for granted that it'll be startling to her. Potentially the first time. Like every time, or when Luke first saw Obi-Wan, it was like he was just like delirious and on high.
Right.
and it was just like a voice in a distant sort of faded image, and then he was like actually there on Dagobah. So I don't know. I feel like there could be something there with this idea of Force ghosts, and then maybe it ties into Palpatine. And if you go against Lucas's, Lucas's original thinking, can the dark side manifest himself, in the afterlife or whatever? And so I think there's a lot there to be said about this idea of, when I think of rising, I think of, for whatever reason, it's always been resurrection. Way early on, we had these thoughts of like, would the plot line be, trying to bring back like an Anakin or Luke or something? I don't think they're going that route because of the marketing we've seen, but I'd like to see more about that.
Well, he has a theory about
that. Chewie agrees.
Yes, Chewie agrees.
Yeah. Chewie's my dog, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, cool. But that would go against what you said earlier about resurrection. Yeah,
I know. It's yeah.
So what do you got? Do you got anything you want to see from as far as connection goes?
Padme is my biggest thing. I want an acknowledgement of Padme, whether it's, I don't know what that could be, because you have to bring in Anakin to do that. I feel like, in a way. I think they are one and the same. But I like Padme, or any of the other planets. Something small like that would be cool. Some acknowledgement of like Naboo or Coruscant.
Yes.
I think we got a little bit of a callback in, we know from the trailers, because in Kijimi you see a battle droid in the Babu Frick's workshop there. That's cool, but I do want, for me to be happy. I mean, not like I won't be happy, but for me to really feel satisfied, I want a straight up acknowledgement of the prequels.
Yes,
and to me, it's a call out for a shout out to a character, or something like that, like Padme.
Yeah, Padme definitely. I feel like should. I think there could possibly be, because there's that shot of the. I think, is it Leia holding the medal?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think there could be some more nostalgic things that she looks at in that scene, and maybe one of them is a picture of Padme or
cool.
something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that would be pretty awesome.
That would be really cool.
That'd be awesome. That'd be cool. Like, I was thinking the necklace, but was that with Padme when she was
buried? Yeah, it was.
So the funeral. So you assume that she was buried with it, because that would be kind of a cool little connection. But
well, totally. I think in the comic, did I see that?
Is it brought back?
I think Vader goes and basically digs her up.
Oh yeah,
and gets the necklace. And finds the necklace.
What is it called? The Chaporsnip?
Oh, because he finds out that that's what he unburies her, because he finds out that the kids didn't die, the child didn't die in childbirth. Mm-hmm. So he finds out that that's what proves that Luke is possibly his kid. I think that was in the first. That was in the first comic that came out, the first series of Vader in the new canon. Yeah, I think Padme for sure. I don't know. I think I would freak out if we heard like Liam Neeson's voice.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because he can't. I don't think he can be a Force ghost because he didn't complete that training.
Well, he did. Well, if they're counting it, from a certain point of view, he manifested himself to Obi-Wan in that short story.
Yeah. I got to read that again.
Yeah.
Did he fully?
I think he did.
Okay.
I think he did, but yeah, I need to read that part again.
Because in the Yoda arc on the last season,
Clone Wars
season, I thought he mentioned there, you need to complete what I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're right,
and that's why he didn't ever show up in front of Yoda. So I don't know. I think that I have to see how that contradicts itself. Mm-hmm. We're obviously getting Lando, so that's kind of a connection to the mid trilogy, the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything besides Anakin. I mean, you obviously bring back Anakin. You're connecting the entire saga. But I don't know. I just think he's right. He knows he's wrapping up JJ. That is, he knows he's wrapping up 9 films. So there's got to be some kind of acknowledgement.
I mean, here's the thing that I kind of realized today is that connects to me all trilogies is, first of all, Palpatine. Palpatine is the culminating villain at the end of each trilogy. The last film of each trilogy, he's the main villain, and he's really only most fully revealed in that last film.
In the third act,
it's like fully. I mean, like, it's like, oh, he is the ultimate bad guy in this trilogy, and that's who we got. It's not Grievous, it's not just Vader, and it's not Kylo. It's it's these guys. So it's Palpatine. So I like that Echo, which is pretty cool. But
that's actually a good. That is a good thing.
But I want more than that for a callback to the prequels.
Okay, so as we finish this up, last thing, unless you guys got anything else, it's how does this thing end? Mm-hmm. How does this thing wrap up the entire 9 films as well as this trilogy? Mm-hmm. Go.
Broom Boy emerges from. No, just kidding.
Yeah, victorious, sweeping up the wreckage. Oh my gosh, he's still on. He's still on Canto Bight. It cuts back. It's just a year later. He's waiting, and still looking out in the sky, like, well, I'm just waiting. Something happened.
Yeah.
Would it be too on the nose? I'm thinking of the Echoes, and we talked about the Echoes, and sort of, George Lucas likes to say it's poetry, it rhymes, and Return of the Jedi, they defeated, the Emperor, and they're doing this celebration on Endor, and Luke's standing there, and he looks over, and he sees all the Force ghosts, Would it be too cheesy if there was like a Force Ghost sort of party moment like that?
I don't think so, man. Not for me, at least.
You don't think that you think? Oh, I
don't think it's too cheesy.
You don't think it's too cheesy? Okay.
No, because yeah. Go ahead.
I just wonder, like, who would that cast of characters be? Like, obviously you got Luke. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have the technology and the footage to bring Carrie. Well, that's the thing is I don't know what happens to Leia. Like, is Leia gonna be said that she dies in the movie, or is she just like written out of the rest? I don't know, because I would like this. To be totally honest, I would like to see more Force Ghosts throughout. I think we all talked about wanting to see Anakin, wanting to see all these people. Mm-hmm. If they didn't incorporate them in story plot moments, I'd love to just see a quick little callback to a prequel character mixed. Maybe it's just all the Skywalkers. It's the Skywalker saga. It's the end.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome just to see them all. In the cosmic force, as a Force Ghost or whatever. So
interesting,
cool. Yeah, no, because I'm on that.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Leia.
I've got I could say a little bit more about that, but no, I'm with you, Cody. I really want it to be a super happy ending. I want there to be peace finally, and just these characters and these heroes can just rest finally. Meaning, whatever the Sith is done once and for all, or whatever it means, there needs to be true balance once and for all. Balance. And no more, and First Order is completely done. There's no more backup plans for the next iteration. I think it needs to be a final nail in the coffin of this evil is defeated. There's true peace and order in the galaxy led by the New Republic. If they still decide to call themselves the New Republic. There just needs to be happiness and peace, please. Because I want these heroes to finally go home and rest. And I want it to be like Aftermath, where the battle isn't done yet. It's going to be another 2 years after this movie that the true battle is done. It needs to be done. Let's move on.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's hope. The Jedi. There's definitive evidence and acknowledgement that the Jedi are coming back after this movie. Mm-hmm. That's mine. That's my happiness.
So I'll take it one step further. I don't know that it'll be this flash forward of a type thing, but some little tidbit that like Rey is going to actually like start a Jedi Academy the way that we thought Luke was going to after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then maybe that can be like, who knows where the future goes kind of thing.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it could be somewhat like a flash forward where like the end of Revenge of the Sith, where you had these shots of where Vader and Palpatine and Tarkin are, where Obi-Wan is there, and what was intended, in the book at least, for Yoda to be on Dagobah. Like, you get these little shots, these like one shots of where these characters are now. And I would like to see that of Rey starting an academy, Poe leading, assuming a more political, higher up role in this new government, Finn living a quiet, happy life, doing his own thing, free of any political or war or anything like that, free of the First Order. I would love to see that, our heroes kind of.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that, because that could happen. That definitely could happen. Kind of. I mean, we did see that a little bit at the end of Return of the Jedi, also with all the celebrations that were happening around the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
I think that could be. It could be. We can see where these characters end. I don't think the last shot of the movie by far is the shot of that trailer where, I think the lines, the force will be with you always, when Luke and Leia say it, like that could be I feel like that could be the end of the movie. Like that is said at the end of the movie.
That would be a good way
to Rey, but not in that shot. Obviously, I think it's in a different shot.
The Force ghosts of Rey and Luke. Yeah.
Leia and Luke. Yeah.
Leia and Luke, yeah. Talking to Rey. Very cool.
Man, Force Ghost Rey, that's a prediction.
So I do think, however they defeat Palpatine, that is the end. It needs to be the end.
Yeah.
And that is the culmination of the entire, because that's how it all started. The Sith were revealed in The Phantom Menace, and then the Sith are destroyed in the Rise of Skywalker. So
yeah. Very cool.
That would make sense. Okay, any last comments or words about this?
I mean, a couple of just random things. Going back to Leia a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if the crawl mentioned something to the effect of Leia being sick or not feeling well, to already get you thinking about her passing. Because I definitely think that, like we said in the beginning, is that hug between Rey and Leia is a final thing, because she's crying. I don't know context-wise what else that could be besides that's a final goodbye. I just hope that we get... I don't know how they would pull it off, but it would be cool if we gotten a final goodbye with also the other characters and Leia, but obviously I don't know if that exists.
Yeah.
So, because Poe and Leia are very close character-wise, and Resistance Reborn furthers that relationship. But also that book talks about how she kind of has these lasting effects from, floating in space. So... who knows? That would be a cool way to open the door for her being sick and just passing on. That would be interesting. Like if the crawl, or even if she, really crazy, if she was, I've said this before on previous shows, is that if she's already gone by the time the movie starts, and what we see of her is like a Force spirit of her training Rey along with Luke. So I don't know. That's one other thing, and then the last thing is cool Easter eggs would be in the final battle if we had other cameos of other characters like Inferno Squad calling in, like the Inferno leader,
God, I hope
standing
we see
by,
Shreve.
like Shreve saying like Inferno leader standing by. We have Hera saying like whatever squadron she's leading, so and so standing by. That's all you got to do. Just these little cameos.
Or it could be Jason Syndulla.
Totally. Oh my gosh, like that! That's all you got to do.
Yeah,
in the Colossus crew, you have someone like that, like Kaz saying something. So and so, Kazuda standing by
on your left.
Yeah,
so like a total. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's
Baby Yoda standing by. Yeah, who knows? On your left. So that'd be cool.
Last things from you, Cody.
Yeah, well, so Casey, you just made me think of something kind of huge for Leia, and it stems from the fact that we watched just part of Return of the Jedi today.
Yeah.
But a way that they could work this whole Leia thing in, and this is totally practical. They could film it. It would not mess with any of the footage they have. I don't know if she is sick or isn't sick. Obviously don't know what they're going to do with her. But when Yoda becomes one with the Force, he just kind of crawls into bed and then disappears, and then his clothes or like his little blanket just kind of flattens.
Yeah.
It the way I describe it will sound weird, but Leia could do something, say something, and all of a sudden she could just disappear and her clothes could just kind of fall. And it's like she just became one with the Force in a very peaceful sort of way.
I like that. Yeah.
And maybe there's got to be some backstory in the crawl, like you said, or a moment, another character. But that is, I never thought of it until tonight. I don't know why. That's totally a way to write around her and to write her into, sort of the, the way that Jedis sort of go out. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the most dramatic way they could start introducing that in the crawl is like the first line. It says something like General Leia has passed, or something like that. And then it gives the state of the galaxy because of that. State of the resistance because of that, And then already you got the
would be a gut punch right
feeling.
there.
Yeah. Like, what? And then, but then you still obviously see her and you get that satisfying conclusion.
So she would be a Force ghost at that point.
Yeah. And at the start, she'd be a Force ghost.
Wow.
That would be,
interesting.
Again, a gut punch to the max.
So then the marketing would be throwing you off because she wouldn't be a glowing.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've already kind of established they don't. Oh, I don't know. They always have some sort of glow.
Yeah.
Yoda had kind of a glow to him in Last Jedi, even though he was
Yoda was less glowy in The Last Jedi.
Yeah. But he was kind of bluish still.
Yeah, he had a bluish hue.
It's still bluish.
Yeah. But
the only one that wasn't. No, I agree. And that's the way they can hide it.
Yeah.
But the only one that wasn't was when Obi-Wan first shows up to Luke on Hoth.
Hoth.
Yeah, he kind of looked like a hologram. Not a Force ghost.
And then when he shows up in Dagobah, he's pretty physical. Like he's not see through it really hardly at all.
But he's glowing.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, but I do think I love that idea, Cody, of her kind of saying goodbye and then kind of going and being peace and then just disappearing like that would be incredible. Actually,
it'd be a tearjerker.
Yes, I would. Start
and
crying.
Get a reaction of the crew on the Falcon that they see that maybe they're watching from the hangar, the goodbye, and that's their send off as well. They're just seeing Rey's emotional moment, and then themselves are feeling it because they can't physically all do a group hug, to Leia because that doesn't exist. So I don't know.
Okay. I don't know. Anything else?
That about covers it, I think.
I think so.
I got there's other old rumors but anyways. Yeah.
Anybody want to make any final changes to their orders? I mean, I think I'm still going to go with
cheeseburger. That's
all. I'm going to still stay with the order of planets for me.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end on. I think Kashimi is right before the end. For me, I think Kef Burr is right in the middle of the movie. Yeah. I think I'm going to still stick with that. We'll see. I
think there's a location that we just haven't seen yet in there somewhere.
Yeah, I do think there's possible cuts. Like I think I mentioned this before. Like how we see Hosnian Prime briefly before it blows up. In Force Awakens. Like I do think we could see other places. I don't know if there's because actually there's a shot. Do you remember? Oh, I bet you I know what that is. So in the first teaser, there's that shot of it looks like a laser like hitting the surface of a planet.
Yeah, maybe talk about that.
Yeah,
that could be them loosening the ground for the Star Destroyers to come out.
Yeah, possibly.
That's what I'm starting to think now.
Yeah.
But what is causing that? Like I don't know what they're
no clue.
What that laser's from?
Yep.
I don't know.
No idea how that fits into anything. So I don't know. Don't even know how to speculate on that. Could throw a wrench in everything that we've talked about.
Have you done? I don't. I got to talk about that later because you haven't.
Yeah.
I was about to say something about Jedi Fallen Order, but
yeah.
Have you played Jedi Fallen Order yet, Cody?
Yes, I beat it. It's great.
Oh, okay. Well, me and you got to talk tomorrow. Remind me to talk to you about that tomorrow because Casey doesn't know about it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that should wrap it up. Look, we this is it. This is the end of this is not only the end of the Skywalker saga, but unfortunately, until we know something else, this is the last film that we know of right now.
Yeah.
Like we don't know of any, like we can't plan on doing this next year because right now there is no movie next year.
That's true.
I was thinking about that driving home and I'm thinking, man, this sucks. After this movie run, it's like, when are we going to get into the theater? I don't know. You know, I don't.
Well, can I offer you some hope? Because on the live stream of the premiere, Kathleen Kennedy sort of made like a very executive producer-y sort of President Lucasfilm comment. She's like, well, you never know. You know, we might bring the Skywalkers back. Kind of like literally said those words. And
yes.
It was like, what?
Yeah, I think I've heard that. I think they're going to be in different mediums, possibly. I do think. I think she was in an article either on the Hollywood Reporter or some other or Variety or something like that that said that they're pretty much abandoning trilogies, and they're gonna go. They are going to focus more on not necessarily Star Wars stories, but individual stories that. Are just kind of
world building in a sense.
Yes, like I'm thinking I started this is on the next show. But my wheels turning in my head is that's that whole conversation with Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
They're going to marvel it.
They're going to marvel it.
Let's marvel this.
That they're going to be stories, but stories that are kind of connected in to a common goal.
I'm on board with that.
Totally on board with that. So instead of because you are putting a lot of risk into a trilogy, because if the first one doesn't work out, it just sucks that you do you invest in the next two, or do you just kill the story or whatever, right? So anyway, next episode we will obviously talk about our reactions to the Rise of Skywalker, and just to either break it down and tell everybody what we thought about it and how our predictions panned out and whatnot. So we will do that next week. Now I have 3 screenings already. I definitely know I'm going to. What about you guys?
I have 3. Actually, I'm going to have to give back one of my set of tickets because I can no longer go to that one. But I still plan on seeing it 3 times. I just got to replace now the third screening.
So I'm going that I know of twice, sort of back to back. And what I want to try to do is, so we're traveling to Florida for the holiday at a sister-in-law's wedding.
Yeah.
And there's a really good theater in the Disney Springs.
Yes, there is.
Formerly downtown Disney area.
AMC theater.
I think it's the AMC theater there. Man. So I'd love to go to the AMC theater there. My brother-in-law is a big Star Wars fan. So maybe.
Well, hell, you're that close to Batu. You better go.
Or at least Secrets of the Empire.
Yes.
Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I've been talking about trying to get to Galaxy's Edge, so we'll see if that happens. Some of it may just depend on what all the family's doing for this wedding that's happening.
Yeah,
I can sneak away for a secret mission or not.
I'll be right back. I'll go to the store.
No, but they. I'm Thursday night with you all, and then we're Friday again that afternoon, and then I'm taking Sam, my oldest daughter, who is 10 on Friday when it comes out. Taking her Saturday late afternoon. So if you want to see it then, Case, it's 4:10 or something like that, I think. But so, and to be honest, like that's what I'm definitely doing. Now I did this with Last Jedi, where I think I was planning on seeing, because we did it again opening night and the day after. I had planned on seeing it that Saturday, but I was so disappointed with it I didn't go see it on that Saturday. I'm hoping that I'm happy enough that I will try to go see it even on Sunday. So I might go. I might go all weekend. So I don't know, but if it's that good, I'm definitely going to see it a lot. I ended up I saw Force Awakens. I think I saw Force Awakens 5 times in the theater. I only saw Last Jedi twice. Those 2 times.
Okay.
But I feel like I might see this thing 4 or 5 times.
Hopefully it's good.
Again, this is the last in the theater that I know of right now.
Yeah, I gotta milk it. You gotta see it as much as you can.
Yeah, so
cool.
All right, Cody, appreciate you joining us for the predictions on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm loving to talk about it and can't wait to see it.
I know. I am overjoyed, man, already. I just cannot wait. I have actually not really slept a wink this week. I don't sleep that much anyway, but I've had to put myself to bed because I haven't really been tired, but I'm like, I'm so excited. I got to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Your mind's just racing.
Yes. Oh man, I am. I'm just, and plus, I mean, we haven't even talked about it, but we're getting the new Mandalorian tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
So we'll have that to talk about tomorrow
Yeah.
while we talk about this more. And now I'm just, and I'm truly right now, the next 2 days, I'm off social media. Like there's no way I'm going to get spoiled.
I've had to catch myself so many times being opening the app or going to my like news tabs on my computer.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough.
Your thumb just automatically does it, and you just gotta.
I know.
Yeah,
See,
it's
I'm
time
gonna
to stop.
like Thursday when I post this show. I'm just posting it and getting right
close
off.
your eyes, just muscle memory. Post it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you guys go enjoy the Rise of Skywalker. I'm guessing Casey, Cody, probably won't record our next show until towards the end of next week, just to give everybody some time to watch this stuff, because it will probably be a spoiler review. So we'll definitely give it close to a week until we get back on here. But thanks everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed listening to our journey this whole year, talking about this as we lead up to it. I mean, we are 2 days away. I mean, it's crazy to think that, 4 years ago, we were seeing The Force Awakens. I mean,
4 years ago. Wow. Yeah,
4 years ago, just over 4 years ago, because that was December 18th it came out. So 4 years ago tomorrow.
Yeah. I got like a post, like a flashback post, timeline post about
you're getting interviewed, right?
Yeah,
you get interviewed by the news. Yeah,
interview me.
Yeah. So 4 years ago tomorrow would be the 18th. If you're listening to this, it'd be the 18th. But Force Awakens came out, so now it's the conclusion 4 years later, which is great because it's not 5 years later like we got the prequel trilogy, right? No, actually, it was 6 years. It was every 3 years, so 6 years.
Yep.
So they shortened it for us. That's good. Thanks, everybody. InsideTheForce.com. Again, I'll be back on Twitter after I watch the movie to talk about it a little bit on Twitter. Hope everybody has a great time this weekend. Be safe.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, man. Merry Christmas.
It probably won't record until
because it's after Christmas. You're right. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy Laugh Day.
Be a little present, podcasting present.
That's right. That's right.
When you come back.
Yeah, when you come back.
I hope everybody opens their Star Wars gifts.
Yep. Wear your Star Wars PJs.
And look, I just hope, just the only thing I'll say about it, I just hope that if people are upset about The Rise of Skywalker, which they can be, they can not like it. But for those of you out there because I know there was a lot of Last Jedi, a lot of fans that reacted and heard from Last Jedi reactions that didn't let them decide to go see the movie because of that. Now, I would harp in that, go see the movie. I mean, regardless of what you read, regardless of what's flying around on social media, because I do feel like I'm hearing a little bit of hatred already on social media already, even though it seems like only critics have seen the movie. But I mean, give it a chance. See it for yourself, judge it for yourself, and be truthful about it. So that's
well said.
That's all I would say.
Yeah, that's really well said. I think we're all Star Wars fans. I think like it, love it, hate it. Even movies that you might not like as much, there's parts that you do like. So I think like going in, trying to be as fresh. I know me, for one, I'm trying to have less expectations on the characters that I grew up with, and just trying to like go in and like have a good time at the theater. So.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. See you guys next week. Merry Christmas. He's Cody Eiler.
See ya.
He's Case Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave Cottingham. May the Force be with you.